conflicts escalating across the globe, the world once again turns to powerful tools for stability. Among them is a formidable aircraft that made its mark in the 1990s, the Jaguar. Proving its lethal capabilities in key conflicts like the Gulf War, this attack aircraft soared through the skies and became a symbol of military strength. And today, it stands ready to play a critical role once more. What made this aircraft so effective? In which other battles did it dominate? Join us as we explore the features of the new SEPECAT Jaguar, the most advanced aircraft ever created. As the Gulf War began in 1991, the skies over the Middle East became a dangerous battlefield. Among the advanced jets sent by the Royal Air Force were 12 old SEPECAT Jaguars. These jets were thought to be obsolete, and many people believed that they were no longer useful. But these jets, often referred to as the Desert Cats, were about to prove that despite being old, they were still as formidable as ever. The Jaguars were given some of the most dangerous missions, attacking enemy targets on the ground, supporting troops, and disrupting enemy plans. The most dangerous of these missions involved attacking enemy missile sites. The Jaguars had to fly straight into the enemy's missile zones at medium altitude, where they were completely exposed to being shot down. There was no safe height to avoid the missiles and no room for mistakes, just pure courage and skill. Despite the risks, the camouflaged Jaguars, armed to the teeth, flew into battle time after time. Even though they faced intense enemy fire, none of the Jaguars were lost. These planes, once considered outdated, ended up being unexpected heroes. They showed that sometimes it's not the latest or most advanced equipment that makes the difference in war, but the determination and bravery of those who never give up. In the early 1960s, the French Air Force and British Royal Air Force both needed new jet trainers that could also handle light strikes. To meet this need, they decided to work together. In 1966, the British Aircraft Corporation and Breguet Aviation from France created SEPECAT, a company to build these new jets. Breguet took care of parts like the landing gear and nose, while BAC worked on the wings and tail. The first prototypes took their first flight in September 1968, and by 1973 and 1974, the SEPECAT Jaguar, which is a modern, supersonic jet for ground attacks, close support, and even nuclear strikes, was in service with both the French and British Air Forces. The Jaguar was initially designed as a jet trainer with some ground attack abilities. However, its role expanded to include supersonic speed, reconnaissance, and tactical nuclear strike missions. A version for aircraft carriers was also planned for the French Navy, but it was canceled in favor of the less expensive, entirely French-made Dassault Breguet Super Étendard. The Jaguar was built by SEPECAT, a partnership between Breguet and the British Aircraft Corporation, making it one of the first significant joint military aircraft projects between the UK and France. In 1966, SEPECAT was formed as a joint venture between BAC and Breguet to produce the Jaguar. The Jaguar's design was partly based on Breguet's Broye 121, but included significant input from BAC, such as a thinner wing and afterburning engines, making it a new aircraft rather than just a modification of the original French design. The British version of the Jaguar was more advanced, requiring supersonic speed, sophisticated avionics, and a navigation attack system more complex than the French version. Rolls-Royce and Turbomeca also collaborated to develop the Adour afterburner turbofan engine for the Jaguar. Although the partnership between BAC and Breguet was technically successful, when Dassault took over Breguet in 1971, they preferred promoting their own designs like the Mirage F1 and Super Étendard. Initially, the plan was for Britain to buy 150 Jaguar trainers, and for France to purchase 150 Jaguars, split between trainers and single-seat strike aircraft. However, when France canceled the collaborative AFVG project, the Jaguar design shifted more towards a low-level strike role, particularly for the RAF, which needed a backup plan for its future strike capabilities after canceling other projects. By 1970, the RAF changed its order to 165 single-seat strike Jaguars and 35 trainers. The Jaguar eventually replaced the McDonnell Douglas Phantom FGR-2 in various roles, allowing the Phantom to focus on air defense. The Phantom was a key part of the Royal Air Force's fleet for over 20 years, known for being one of the best strike fighters in the world. The Royal Air Force used two versions of the Phantom with Rolls-Royce Spey engines. The FG-1, used as an interceptor, and the FGR-2 used for ground attacks and reconnaissance in Germany. From 1977, all RAF Phantoms were used only as interceptor fighters in the UK. Britain bought 52 Phantom FG-1s and 118 Phantom FGR-2s. In 1982, they ordered 15 more Phantoms to support operations in the South Atlantic. These were second-hand F-4Js from the US Navy, upgraded with British equipment, and renamed F-4J. When the threat from Eastern Europe diminished, the Phantom fleet was quickly reduced, and the last unit was disbanded at the end of September 1992. The French and British trainer requirements evolved separately and were eventually met by the Alpha Jet and the Hawker Siddeley Hawk. The French also decided to use the Jaguar to replace the Étendard 4 in their Navy, including plans for a carrier-capable version called the Jaguar M. Despite their different initial goals, the collaboration resulted in a highly advanced, supersonic aircraft optimized for ground attack in challenging environments. Now that the formidability of the Jaguar has been established, let's get into more details regarding this war beast. The Jaguar is a single-seat twin-engine jet with swept wings and tall retractable landing gear. Initially, it had a maximum takeoff weight of around 15 tons and could fly about 850 kilometers on internal fuel, giving it a longer range than similar aircraft like the MiG-27. The Jaguar could carry up to 10,000 pounds of external weapons, including rockets, bombs, and missiles. The RAF added new weapons to their Jaguars during the Gulf War, such as CRV-7 rockets and CBU-87 cluster bombs. The Jaguar was also equipped with two 30mm cannons, either the French DIFA or British Aden cannons. The Jaguar International version had unique overwing pylons for short-range air-to-air missiles, freeing up space under the wings for other weapons. The RAF added these pylons before Operation Granby in 1990, but the French Jaguars did not have this modification. The Jaguar was powered by the Rolls-Royce Turbomeca Adore turbofan engine, designed specifically for it. The twin engines were chosen for better safety, and maintenance was made easy, with engine changes possible in just 30 minutes. The engines provided high thrust for takeoff, supersonic flight, and low-level dashes. The first Jaguar prototype flew on 8 September 1968, marking the engine's first flight too. Initially, the Adore engine had issues with its afterburner and throttle response, but these were fixed before the Jaguar entered service. The RAF used the Mark 102 engine with better throttle control, and later upgraded to the Mark 104 in 1981 and the Mark 106 in 1991, each improving performance. The Adore engine was also used in other aircraft, like the Hawk trainer, the McDonnell Douglas T-45 Goshawk, and the Mitsubishi TT2 and F1. The Rolls-Royce Turbomeca Adore is a two-shaft turbofan engine created by Rolls-Royce and Turbomeca. It is named after the Adore River in southwestern France. The Adore engine was mainly developed to power the SEPECAT Jaguar fighter bomber. More than 2,800 Adore engines had been made for over 20 different military forces, with a total of 8 million flying hours by December 2009. The Jaguar had advanced avionics from the start. The British version had a digital system with an inertial navigation system, a heads-up display, and a laser targeting system in the nose. Over time, more systems were added, like the Atlas II in French Jaguars and laser designator systems in some British GR1s. The Indian Air Force added the Agave radar for maritime strikes, and later developed the Darren system with modern features. During the Gulf War, the Jaguar proved more mechanically reliable than the Tornado, but its outdated avionics made missions difficult. French Jaguars needed Mirage 1CR planes to guide them due to navigation issues. Despite these problems, the RAF Jaguars flew 612 combat missions without losing any aircraft. Significant upgrades were made during and after the war. Both French and British Jaguars were quickly fitted with GPS for better navigation. The RAF also upgraded its Jaguars to carry laser designator pods, leading to the GR3 and GR3A versions, which had improved navigation, night vision, and targeting capabilities. One Jaguar was converted into a test aircraft with fly-by-wire controls, which improved its maneuverability. The data from these tests helped in the development of the Eurofighter. Powered by two Adore turbofan engines, developed jointly by Rolls-Royce and Turbomeca, The Jaguar could reach speeds of Mach 1.6, a ceiling of 46,000 feet, and a range of 1,000 miles. The cockpit featured cutting-edge technology, including a digital heads-up display, night vision, GPS, and a helmet-mounted display, alongside a radar altimeter, weapon aiming computer, and automatic direction finder, enhancing its operational efficiency. Despite these commonalities, the Jaguar exhibited variations tailored to the specific needs of the nations it served. Since the 1970s, the SEPECAT Jaguar program has earned a reputation for its fierce capabilities as an attack aircraft. During its 13 years of production, a total of 573 Jaguars were ordered, with France and the United Kingdom accounting for 403 of them. Over the next decade, 19 different variants of the SEPECAT Jaguar were developed, each tailored to fulfill specific roles within various branches of the French and British armed forces. The baseline French-made Jaguar, designated as the Jaguar A, was designed primarily for light attack and tactical support roles. This variant focused less on advanced electronics and more on versatility. It was equipped with French DIFA cannons and capable of employing a range of weapons, including laser-guided air-to-ground missiles, air-to-air missiles, and anti-radar missiles. A total of 160 Jaguar strike aircraft were delivered to the Armée de l'Air. At its peak, the Jaguar equipped 9 squadrons, typically delivered in dark green and dark gray camouflage. French Jaguars, repainted for desert combat, debuted in December 1977 in Dakar, Senegal, attacking insurgents in Mauritania. These aircraft were also deployed to Chad multiple times, starting in 1973, to combat Libyan-backed insurgents. Throughout the 1980s, the Jaguars struck military targets, including key air bases and radar installations. Over Chad, the model demonstrated its ruggedness, ease of maintenance, and capability to operate from rough airstrips under primitive conditions. While the French Jaguar was designed for versatility and cost-effectiveness, the RAF's Jaguar was engineered to dominate the battlefield. The British Jaguars featured more sophisticated avionics and weapon systems suited for low-level strike missions. They were equipped with British Aden Mark 430mm cannons. They also had an advanced system known as the Navigation and Weapon Aiming Subsystem, which provided detailed flight direction and targeting data, enhancing the aircraft's effectiveness in its designated roles. Additionally, the British Jaguar could carry a heavier payload, including external tanks, various bombs, and US-built AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles for self-defense. These advanced capabilities of the British Jaguar would prove crucial on more than one occasion. The British purchased a total of 203 Jaguars for various duties, with an initial color scheme in RAF service of dark gray and dark green disruptive camouflage, although this could change. This new model replaced the F-4 Phantom in the low-level strike role, and while pilots missed the sheer massiveness of the older model and its heavy warload, the Jaguar proved to be a fine machine. At its peak in the strike role, the type was even the backbone of RAF tactical aviation in Central Europe, featuring 4 squadrons dedicated to tactical nuclear strikes, 3 squadrons for conventional tactical strikes, and 1 for tactical reconnaissance. These units served in operations like the Falklands War, where they provided valuable air support and reconnaissance capabilities. By the mid-1980s, it was beginning to be displaced by the Panavia tornado. Still, the Jaguar would soon have a chance to prove itself in a crucial conflict. In 1990s, as the UK and its allies prepared for a potential conflict to evict Iraqi forces from Kuwait, the Royal Air Force's Jaguar was believed to be on a path of steep decline, with only 3 squadrons remaining after being largely succeeded by the Panavia tornado. Still, on August 5, 1990, following the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, the United Kingdom decided to deploy an expeditionary force to safeguard Saudi Arabia. Within this large group, some of the remaining Jaguars from RAF Coltishall were ordered to prepare for deployment to the Gulf as part of Operation Granby, the code name for all Gulf operations. On August 11, elements from 6 squadrons, 41 squadrons, and 54 squadrons with 12 models left RAF Coltishall for the Middle East. The aircraft selected for this mission were repainted in a sandy color and heavily upgraded. Each Jaguar was equipped with jamming pods, chaff dispensers, and extra fuel tanks. The upgrades included better engines, improved radar, new defensive flares, radar-absorbent materials, gold film on the windscreens, overwing missile rails for AIM-9L Sidewinder missiles, and advanced cockpit systems. Wing Commander William Pixton, known as Billy P by his men, was chosen to lead the RAF Gulf Jaguar detachment. He was well respected by his pilots for encouraging tactical discussions and making decisions after consulting everyone. According to former Jaguar pilot Mike Rondot, Pixton had one main goal: to bring back all the people and planes we started with. The RAF initially planned for the Jaguars to fly at low altitudes, thinking it would be safer against Iraq's strong air defenses. However, when advanced U.S. support like missile suppression, electronic countermeasures, and airborne command systems came into play, they switched to medium-level missions. This new role tested the Jaguars' ability to adapt once again. For Operation Granby, the RAF Jaguars were equipped with British 1,000-pound bombs, known for their excellent penetration and fragmentation. These bombs were so effective that they were nicknamed the envy of the Americans. The Jaguars also carried rocket projectiles and cluster bombs. The Jaguars were the first British attack aircraft to arrive in the Gulf. Their quick deployment and readiness reportedly helped stop Saddam Hussein from advancing further, though he wasn't ready to give up. By late 1990, the United Nations had imposed sanctions on Iraq, trying to get Hussein to pull his forces out peacefully. This led to UN Resolution 678, which allowed the use of force if Iraq didn't withdraw by January 15, 1991. The RAF Jaguars were now ready for action. On January 17, 1991, Squadron leader Mike Gordon led the Jaguars on their first mission, targeting an Iraqi army barracks in Kuwait. With no response from the enemy air force, the airborne warning confirmed "picture clear," proving their higher altitude approach was safe. The Jaguars continued to operate at medium levels. The next day, Wing Commander Bill Pixton's mission against Republican Guard targets was delayed due to weather, pushing the attacks, including those on SAM and AA sites, to the following morning when conditions improved. Over 6 weeks, the 12 RAF Jaguars in Desert Storm maintained a tough schedule, with pilots flying 4 days on and 1 day off to keep the pressure on Iraqi defenses. Meanwhile, a dedicated team of engineers and ground crew worked hard to keep the Jaguars combat ready. During Operation Granby, the Jaguars focused on attacking important battlefield targets like SAM sites, artillery, weapons storage areas, and armored columns. This often involved medium-level dive bombing, a task the Jaguars handled exceptionally well. They performed barrel rolls into steep dives from 30,000 feet, dropping 1,000-pound bombs between 10,000 and 5,000 feet for maximum impact. With pilots logging over 200 hours of combat time on average, only one aircraft was damaged, and that was due to small arms fire during a bomb run. The SEPECAT Jaguar proved to be adaptable and tough, completing missions that were once thought to be beyond its abilities. As the Gulf War ended, the Jaguars achieved the RAF's highest success rate, completing all 618 missions with no losses. Their success amazed commanders in the press, earning them great respect and confirming their important role in combat. Another iconic aircraft with exceptional capabilities, similar to that of the Jaguar, is the G91. The Fiat G91Y is an Italian ground attack and reconnaissance aircraft that first flew in 1966. Although it looks similar to the earlier Fiat G91, it was a complete redesign, with a key change being the switch from a single engine to a twin-engine setup. The G91Y was a higher performance version of the G91, funded by the Italian government. It was based on the G91T two-seat trainer, but instead of the single Bristol Orpheus engine, it had two afterburning General Electric J85 engines, boosting its power by 60%. The plane's structure was also lightened to improve performance, and an extra fuel tank replaced the G91T's second seat to give it more range. Automatic leading-edge slats were added to improve combat maneuverability. The G91Y's avionics were significantly upgraded, with many systems from the US, Britain, and Canada being produced under license in Italy. 3 pre-production aircraft were successfully flight tested, with one reaching a top speed of Mach 0.96. Some issues with airframe buffeting were fixed in production models by slightly raising the tailplane. The Italian Air Force initially ordered 55 G91Ys, which Fiat completed in March 1971. The order was later increased to 75, but only 67 were delivered. The development took a long time, with the first order being for about 20 pre-production models after the two prototypes. The first of these pre-production Yankees, as the new aircraft was nicknamed, flew in July 1968. The Italian Air Force ordered two batches of G91Ys. The first batch had 35 fighters, and the second batch had 20, later reduced to 10. The last aircraft was delivered around mid-1976, making a total of two prototypes, 20 pre-production, and 45 production models. There were no exports. These units used the Yankees for attack and reconnaissance missions over both land and sea until the early 1990s, when they were replaced by the AMX aircraft. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link appearing on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.